Guys, we got another good one for you. I am joined today by Drew of I Am. Please welcome to the show, Drew. Thanks for taking the time out to hang out with us today, brother. I definitely appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Howdy, how you doing, man?
Not
Doing
too
all
bad. How's things in the great state of Texas, my friend?
right? Hey, fantastic. Loving it.
I
Loving
like
the
to hear
heat.
that. I love to hear that, man. We're losing the heat. We're up in New
Yeah.
York, so it's starting to get to be those 40-degree nights and 80-degree days. It's kind of weird,
Man. Yeah, I wish
but
it stays about 90 about this time of year, pretty much the whole time. It dips down a little bit at night, but
right. No, I feel you, man. So we're here to talk about the new album, Eternal Steel, you guys. It's out now, just released on MNRK Heavy Records, and we'll definitely get into that a little bit. First, I want to talk a little bit about the band. The band's name is I Am. I'm sure you guys get this question a lot, but how did you guys come up with the name I Am for the band?
um so listen, man. I came up with that like right at the end of high school. We just wanted something that sounded, strong and out there, so we threw around some ideas. I Am came in the mix, and we were like, all right, cool, whatever. So it's not some crazy weird. Hey, chill out. It's not some crazy weird deep meaning or whatever. But over the years, it's gotten a lot more merit, I guess. With like being who you are, and it kind of suits I Am musically. I've come to love it. So yeah, that's kind of how that name came about.
I dig that. So you guys are from the Dallas area. How did the band first get together? How did you guys get together?
um, so when we started, we bunch of kids in high school didn't know how to play instruments, didn't really know much about music culture in general. Just a bunch of kids, and we had just heard about this music. We're like, fuck yeah, let's start a band, let's play this type of shit. And we weren't very good at it. So it took a few years. I'd say probably about four years or so of just playing local gigs or just not taking anything too seriously. And then yeah, we started doing our first album, Life of Torment. That's when we started touring some and getting a little more serious about it. And yeah, beginning stages and early stages were rough. Not a pretty sight.
Right.
But like I'm thankful for it. It gave me a lot of character. It taught me a lot. We didn't get the instant right off the bat success, so it kind of we're the slow bleed band is what I like to say. So I dig it. I'm digging the process.
You guys paid your dues, in other words, which is good.
Exactly. It makes it that much more sweeter.
Hell yeah, man. So the rest of the band, of course, Drew, you're on vocals. Tom Reyes on guitar,
Yes,
Chris
sir. That's time.
Burgess on guitar,
Yes, sir.
Eric Rodriguez on bass, and Ian
Mm-hmm.
Scott on drums, respectively.
Oh no, Ian Scott on drums is not correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that might have been some old filler coming through.
I got
Yeah,
wrong
bad.
information then.
Yeah. It big time, and I only put so much emphasis on that because our drummer now, Brandon Busa, he's been with us
Okay.
for the last 3 years,
All
and
right.
he is one of the biggest assets to ever come in this band. And the reason why Eternal Steel kind of sounds the way it does is because of him, because of
Mhm.
his fucking incredible abilities. But like, yeah, I just want that to be very clear. Brandon Busa is on Eternal Steel,
All
and
right.
he is in I Am, not Ian Scott.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So that comes to my next question was, I was going to ask you if that's the original lineup. So clearly it's not, but with the
Oh
addition of
yeah, no,
Brandon, that's
I'm
good.
I'm the only original member in I Am.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's yeah. Everybody else, it kind of takes some people a while to figure out a lineup, but that is the most important thing is chemistry and
100%.
being cohesive with each other. And it took us a while to find that, but the last 3 years, this group that we got is just it's incredible, and we vibe so well. So like this is the crew that's gonna stay.
Cool, man. So Dallas, well, Texas in general, but Dallas and Austin has the reputation for being like the best music scenes in the country. Can you shed some light on this for me? This is just a personal, curiosity of mine. What is the scene like down there? Is it heavily dominated by certain genres of music, or is this kind of like everyone has its own little spot in the scene?
Yeah, so I mean, in Texas, you got an array of shit, But I mean, predominantly in the DFW scene right now, you know, death metal is really taking over currently around these parts. But that's not to say that, I see bills all the time with metalcore bands, death metal bands, deathcore bands. Like, so it's for the most part, it's all still mixed, and it's very not as clicky as it used to be. There's a bunch of hardcore bands playing with death metal bands. There's metalcore bands jumping on death metal shows. It's not, and everybody's digging it. Everybody respects the music in its own right. So I say that's probably a big reason why it's so special, is because you can have an array of shit playing, and it goes over pretty well as of late. Not to say it's always been like that, but
Right.
as of that's been great.
So let's talk about you for a second. What originally got you into music? What made you want to be a musician?
I mean, I've always been obsessed with music and, artsy stuff, creative stuff. I didn't really know that I wanted to play music until this one time I had this, I don't know if you remember this game called Rock Band.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, you play the instruments and shit on it and whatever. Sure. And I remember borrowing it from my friend because I didn't have like a game system or whatever, so I borrowed his. Mm-hmm. And I learned that if you press the pause button on the game, you could use the microphone and it still comes through the TV and like the speakers and shit.
There you
so I was
go.
like, oh shit, this is like an amp. Like I can just use this.
Hell yeah,
so I turn on fucking Job for a Cowboy next to me and just start trying to rip songs through the TV. And so like that was the moment where I was like, I heard like, a voice coming through an amp, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is sick. I really want to like do music. Like I really want to do vocals in a band or whatever.
Hell yeah, man.
So that was kind of my little like, yeah, I want to fucking do this.
So let's talk about influences for you for a minute. What kind of musical influence did you have growing up?
So growing up, I mean, so it was a lot of shit, man. My mom was in a bunch of new metal, alternative, rock at the time. So, I got a bunch of Linkin Park, System of a Down, shit like that, Korn. That all came, my mom was super into that. And so it bled over to me. And then my dad, I'd say I take the most from him is because, his favorite band is Sepultura. And I'm lucky the fact that he loves metal like he does, because most kids get parents who hate that shit. But yeah, his favorite band is Sepultura. He's showing me Megadeth, Metallica, all those cool bands. Yeah, and I remember him showing me this Demon Hunter album one time. And that was the first time I heard like a core aspect in music or whatever, because until then it was just those like big bands.
Yep.
And that was the first thing I heard. I was like, oh shit, there's like a whole subculture of like music. Like this, it's not just like the big bands. That was my first like, oh shit moment,
I think I got that with like Venom and all those, where it was just like, oh, this ain't what I'm this ain't normal. What is this?
Exactly.
Like, ooh, yeah. I must explore that, right?
That's why we're freaks. That's why
what about like band influence? Like I was listening to your stuff and trying to pick out some band influences, and I do this kind of quizzing myself to see if I'm still with it or not. But what are some of the band influences that influence your music?
So for Eternal Steel, I was listening to, I did a whole deep dive into Pantera again, like just doing the whole albums, and so a lot of that was coming through there. Judas Priest was another big one. I was just really digging Rob Halford and the way he phrases things and the way he just approaches being a vocalist. Yep. Him and that other band he's in, Fight. It's like a hardcore band with Rob Halford on vocals.
Yep.
It blew my mind. So I was listening to that at the time. A lot of Typo Negative. That's one of my favorite bands in general. But I'm a Typo guy. Honestly, I'd say Megadeth too. I was really digging into Megadeth and like the really funky, they're super groovy. They got a lot of like flair on their shit. So like, I was really digging that with doing vocals and stuff, and honestly with the overall writing too.
So going back to the band, you guys formed in 2011?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You had two self-made EPs back then.
Yeah, they were just shit we gave out at like shows and stuff.
Sure, almost like demos.
Yeah, pretty much
2000
demos.
2013 was you guys put out Global Control.
Yeah, that was one of those like, kind of little demos or whatever. That was the rough periods, us just trying to figure out what music was.
Sure. 2015 was Memento Mori.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right? Nope. Okay, good.
Sir.
2017 was Life Through Torment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hard to Kill was 2018.
Yep.
And of course, just a few weeks ago with Eternal Steel. So going back to 2011 or so to now, how has the band's sound changed, if any, since 2013 to today?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the band's sound has changed, significantly. We're not the same people. We're not the same band that we were then. And given with the people that we do have now, Tommy, our guitarist, came in right as we were finishing Life Through Torment. We pretty much needed him to help us finish the record because it was taking, our current guitars quite some time. And we were just like, we just need another guy in here. So he came in here and helped finish that record. So it was kind of morphing to what our other guitarist was writing. So when we started writing Hard to Kill, I was telling Tommy, it's like, let's write an I Am record for us, like what we want to sound like as a collective group. Like this is, let this be like our stamp, as far as like this is who we are. And he knocked it out of the park as far as like to our abilities, And I would say that's the biggest difference between that record and Eternal Steel, is because we had so much time. We had 4 years to get better at our instruments, be better musicians, songwriters, people. So it helped us really, really be able to hone in on what we wanted I Am to be and like sound like. And it's Hard to Kill's big brother. It's what we wanted to do, but we can actually do it without limitations on what we could play.
Now I know that in doing interviews with a whole bunch of bands, the topic of the pandemic always comes up, and just in my opinion, I think that the pandemic, as shitty as it was, I think the pandemic helped a lot of bands, even bands that weren't really writing at the time, kind of gave them nothing else to do but write, or but make themselves better, or it seems like it's advanced music a little bit, which is freaking great. How did the pandemic affect you guys? Did you guys still get a chance to get together and practice and record and write and all that stuff during that?
Oh yeah. So we had written Eternal Steel prior to the pandemic, or at least majority of it. And we recorded about it was about 6 months into the pandemic. We started recording Eternal Steel, and then we actually got to sit on the record for about another 6 months because we had so much time, because we didn't know when the fuck this was going to end. So we sat on it and we were listening to it, and we're like, yo, man, I wish we could change this. I wish we could go back and do this. And we're like, well, let's go do it. We got nothing but time right now. So that gave us the ability to go back into the studio 6 months after recording it, and we were able to change shit we didn't like or we wish we could have done better. So that benefited the record immensely, I feel. And we came off of Europe with Thyre's Murder, and then right into full US here in the States right before the pandemic. Like, it happened while we were on tour. So we were feeling so good, like coming off these two badass tours, and we're ramped up, ready to take on the fucking year, had shit planned. And so, like, yeah, it sucked when it first happened, obviously, for obvious reasons, but a lot of good shit did come out of it. I think we got the best record we could have made out of it, so like you said, it's like kind of like a bittersweet thing. It's like, yeah, it was bad, but some good came out of it.
Yeah, thankfully, and let's get into that. Let's talk about the new album, Eternal Steel, 11 tracks. What is the what's the first single of the album?
Primal Wave.
The opening track.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there
The
is there a
Primal Wave.
second single to that, or is that the first so far?
What's up?
Is that the first? Is that is there another single to follow that, or is that the first for now? And
Yeah, I mean we already did the Surrender to the Blade and the Iron Gate. Those were the first two singles we put out, and then the Primal Wave was the one right before the album. We just wanted one good, like, this is what you're gonna get with Eternal Steel.
sure,
So that was our last track to release as a single.
yeah, I think the Iron Gate was the first one that I played.
Yeah, yeah.
When I played it, I'm like, all right, kind of gives you one of those, dude. Listen, man, I don't bullshit anybody. I listen to a lot of stuff. Like I get emails after emails of stuff like thrown at me, and I listen to a couple tracks. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. This one, I'm kind of like, I played it. I'm like, kind of made my head shoot up. Like, all right, hold
Yeah.
on, man, something good here,
Hell yeah.
But
That's good shit.
do you have a favorite track? I know this is like asking you to name your favorite kid, but do you have a favorite track on the album, or is it kind of?
Yeah, man, it's a tough one to pick. It really is. But if I'm gonna pick, it'd be between Eternal Steel, the title track,
Mm-hmm.
and Manic Cure, the very last song. So those would be the two that I'd put up as my personal favorite.
Two solid ones. And this, I mean, it's a heavy album, dude. It's heavy. Where did you guys record this album? Where'd you guys
With
record this?
with Randy LaBeouf at Graphic Nature out in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He did our last record, Hard to Kill. He's on damn near every Kubakan album. He's worked on some great shit, and
Mhm.
we love working with him. You know, he's a great fucking guy.
So I know we talked about how, I mean, it took a while to write this album and to fix the stuff that you guys didn't like. Let's talk about the writing process for a second. The band's writing process. How does something go from an idea, a riff, a, a lyric? How does something go from that to finished product? Like, how do you guys write your material?
So we're all kind of far apart from each other. We're all about 4 to 5 hours away from each other in multiple directions. Um, so a lot of it is Tommy. He's the mastermind behind everything. I got to give him his credit. He writes majority of everything, and he comes to us with a folder of like a million riffs, a million ideas, and then we all sit together and we're like, all right, let's fucking make some songs. And so we'll sit. Tommy will structure a lot of it out. You know how we want certain songs to feel, and we're all chipping away at different ideas and stuff. Yeah, he does a lot, even down to most of the drum writing. He'll track them all out. Him and Brandon will sit there and kind of go over what they want to do and everything.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, before the studio, obviously we get together and we jam it all out to make sure it still does sound good playing it, because you can write something on a tab book or in the computer and it sound completely different than playing it live.
100%, sure.
So we'll go and sit there and we'll play it live for a while too to make sure, okay, we're still vibing with this live. It's still getting across what we want to get across. Yeah, so there, take it to Randy, do some scratch tracks, and then yeah, we got an album going.
There you go. So now, do you guys have any plans of touring in support of the album, or any dates planned? Or
Oh yeah, so we're actually doing a fall headliner this November. We're actually going to be announcing it probably next week or so. Yeah, it's going to be fucking killer. It's going to be killer. When does this come out?
it'll probably air in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, then I'll say it now.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to be touring this November and majority hitting Texas and Florida, because we felt like those were the two states we hadn't really had a chance to get to a lot lately.
Sure.
So we really wanted to pay attention to those two. So yeah, we're going to do a quick short 2 weeks with Body Box from Florida, this new death metal groove band from over there, and then Rhythm of Fear from Florida. This crazy thrash crossover band. They're fucking badass.
Yep.
But yeah, we're gonna be doing that tour in November. So get the fuck out to a show. Let's support this album, baby.
Hell yeah, man, absolutely. So now, if you could put together a dream tour, speaking of tours, if you could put together your dream tour, it's I Am and any other two bands.
Oh,
I know. I gotta get. Listen, these are the new. These are like I came up with these probably a month ago. This question, it's like I know it puts you on the spot, but it's just some of the answers I get are so interesting. I can't resist asking it. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. We think about this shit all the time. But currently, if I were to do a tour that would just, I want Eternal Steel to be showcased with these fucking great bands, would be Cannibal Corpse and Crowbar. Both of those bands, one, because they're both on the record, and two, just because we got them on the record because they're some of our favorite bands.
Right.
You know, it would just be, that would be like, whoo. I mean, Cannibal Corpse, Crowbar, I Am, that'd be a fucking.
That would be a brutal night, dude.
Yeah.
Brutal night. So when you guys are playing live, when you guys have gigs and stuff, and this is going to be your chance to throw your other bandmates under the bus because they're not here to defend themselves, obviously. Is there any, like, does anybody in the band, yourself included, have any weird like pre-show rituals or stuff that you have to do before you play?
I wouldn't know if any of it's weird, but we do a lot of pre-show rituals as far as like getting ready. You know, we're for sure 30 minutes before we play, we're all together back there. You know, everybody's got their guitars out and they're already going through the songs and warming up and doing their thing. You know, I like to get my blood pumping quite a bit, so I'll, you know, do some push-ups or, you know, lift a few weights real quick just so I can, you know, get some blood pumping, do some jumping jacks, you know, stretch. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'd say mostly normal shit. We're just really gearing up to get up there, you know. I'm sure anybody walking by would see us and be like, damn, these fools look stupid as hell because we're like, yelling, oh, they're like just fucking warming up.
I'm sure they see that a lot, dude, but like I'm talking about like you have to tap a door jam a certain amount of times or
nothing like
that. All right, good.
Yeah, nothing like that. We're all pretty chill.
So now another question, speaking of playing live and stuff like that, do you have any tour memories that stand out in your mind? Crazy, funny, silly, stupid, embarrassing, something that happened on the road or on stage that was like one of those memories that you're just like, oh yeah, this happened at this place. And you have any that stand out in your mind like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember one of our release shows. I believe it was for Life Through Torment or Hard to Kill, one of them, in Dallas. But this kid comes in there with a skateboard, and right in the pit, he just starts doing like tray flips and kick flips and like actually landing shit, like doing like actual tricks. And I was like, God damn, this is some weird ass shit, but I'm here for it.
Hell
so
yeah,
that was some pretty funky stuff.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one first. So what's next for you guys? I mean, you guys got the album out, tour planned. What's next for I Am after that?
Listen, we got a lot of stuff planned. But what's next is, man, we're just gonna keep rocking. We're gonna keep touring. We're gonna keep trying to fucking support this album. You know, we're trying to get this in everybody's ears. You know, we're trying to rock, man. We're trying to have a good time doing it. You know, that's as far as I got. You know, what comes is what comes. You know, but I'm here to have a good time.
For sure, man. Anything else you want to tell the folks before we wrap everything up?
Just listen to Eternal Steel. I'm telling you, even if you're doubtful or whatever, you'll find something on there that you'll jam with. I'm telling you, give Eternal Steel a shot. Thank you to anybody who have listened to it. We appreciate the shit out of you. But yeah,
I agree with them 100%, guys. Check out I Am's newest release, Eternal Steel. Can't speak, sorry. Eternal Steel. It's out now on MNRK Heavy Records. For more information on I Am, you can check out facebook.com/I Am TX Music. can't read my own writing. That's the problem. Twitter and Instagram is I Am TX Music and imtxmusic.bandcamp.com to go and get the stuff. You can also find more information on monarchheavy.com. That's MNRK Heavy.com. Facebook and Twitter is MNRK Heavy, and Insta is MNRK_Heavy. Drew, dude, it's been a pleasure, man. And I would wish you guys success with this album, but I don't think that you need my wishes, man. I think it stands on its own. I think you got a heavy one on your hands, and I'm proud of the work you did, man. It's a freaking killer album.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that. It means a lot,
Dude.
man. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Listen, man, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us for today. Go enjoy that Texas weather, bro. I'm going to probably throw on a hoodie because it's going to get cold soon.
Yes, sir. Good talking with you, brother.
It's been a pleasure, brother. And I will listen. You're welcome on the show anytime. Come back and hang out whenever. Just give me a holler.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Take care, all right?
Drew from I Am.